Hello, how are you doing? I'm back again after the last video which had the excitement of Hannah taking part. Don't worry, she will be back, she will be doing more, she's promised me. And she's even going to be doing a couple of gameplay videos soon, including one for babysitting mama, which involves having a cuddly baby and rocking it and stuff like that. But I digress before I've even begun. So, general updates. I've been off work for the best part of a week now, which has been lovely. We went on a little holiday to the seaside, literally 20 minutes away from here, but we stayed in the caravan, we had a hot tub, we won things on the arcades. I managed to win some headphones from a 2p machine, which is probably the best I've ever done in any amusement arcade ever, and that's despite growing up in a seaside town, so I should be well versed in what goes on there. But I'm not, and I wasn't. Since the last video as well, I went for a barbecue at Retro Gamer Thomas's game shed, because he's moving the game shed to a different location. And that was a really nice evening. I think Hannah got some footage from there. If so, I'm going to pause here, I'll put that footage in, and then I'll seamlessly cut back to being in here. Just like that. Hopefully that worked and there's footage. Otherwise, it's just going to be a really janky cut. But Retro Gamer Thomas has an amazing collection in a shed in his parents' garden. He's been collecting for close to 40 years now, and if he hasn't got it in terms of consoles, it's probably not worth looking at, to be honest. Although, interestingly, I counted up his boxed Mega Drive collection. I've got about 115, he's got about 105, and across the two collections, there's only about 12, maybe 14 titles that we match on. So it's interesting to see how our different collections have changed and grown and progressed, and kind of what we've looked for. But Tom, lovely guy. He is on YouTube. I'll put a link to his channel, although he doesn't do a huge amount on there at the moment. He's also a co-host on the Unofficial Controller podcast. Again, I'll put a link on it. And he's also a guest on the Single Player Experience this week. And I'll put a link to that video in as well, because Tom's a lovely guy, well worth getting to know. And he also does a really nice barbecue, as I've found out recently. But that's pretty much all I've been up to. Obviously, the title says that this is going to be about the new movies-based challenge. But before that, I'm going to do some pickups, going in a complete different order to the rest of the videos I normally do. I don't have that many that many pickups, because I've got a couple that I'm holding back to show you as part of the challenge. And the other thing that's happened is my brother's moved out of my mum's house, and pretty much anything that he didn't want gaming wise, my mum has said I can have. So right now, around my feet is a load of games that I've rescued from my mum's house that will be shown in a later video. But the pickups that I'm counting as pickups are the ones that I've bought, and my glasses are reflecting horrendously in this video. So my pickups for now are Driver 76 for the PSP. I've started playing the PSP more since I found out that Hannah bought one of the smaller ones, and it's a lot more comfortable to use than the original size one. And also, I'm far too butch to use a pink one, so I had to wait until I had a black one to play with. Again, this was recommended by Retro Gamer Thomas. He says it's an absolute hidden gem for the console. He says it's a bit like playing Grand Theft Auto, but without the bits outside of the car. So I'm looking forward to giving that one a try. I enjoy Driver. I enjoy Driver 2. Driver 3 I played a little bit of, I think. Or might have been Driver San Francisco. But I've enjoyed the Driver games, so hopefully I'll enjoy playing this one. I got that one for a bargain. I think that was only about £4, when I got it in last level the other day. And I've also bought myself Worms Open Warfare for the PSP, which again was only about £4, but I love playing Worms. Absolutely love everything about Worms games, even though, just like most games, I am truly awful at it. As I've mentioned before, I do monthly challenges based on games for the Unofficial Controller Podcast Discord. I've already said I'm going to put a link to them down, so I will anyway. And this month's challenge is based around Worms Armageddon. So if you want to win a sticker, and also Marathon Gaming Scott has said that he's going to throw in one of the collaboration mugs for this month's challenge accepted as well. So if you want to try winning a mug, follow the link that I will highlight to win it. The other game that I've bought myself is one for the Mega Drive collection, which isn't anything to do with the challenge, and that is Haunting, starring Poltergeist for the Mega Drive, which previously I've borrowed, again, from Retro Gamer Thomas. I'm mentioning him every 5 seconds at the moment. It's boxed with manual, which is lovely, and compared to every other time I've tried looking at this was an absolute bargain on eBay. I managed to avoid getting sniped for the first time in ages and picked it up for just under £40. But it's like an isometric 3D house, and you are controlling a ghost trying to scare people out of it, and you can like take over paintings on the wall to make them shake and rattle and just do whatever you can to scare people out of this house, which is quite a fun game. So if you get the chance, give it a quick play. But the main thing we're here for today is to go through the new challenge. Now, I've been going through my PAL Mega Drive Collector's Guide just to see which games came out for the Mega Drive in PAL regions to go alongside movies. Which means, unfortunately, I do miss out on the joys of Wayne's World. But, oh well, never mind. I've counted 38 games in total for it. So, the games I've counted are The Addams Family, The Addams Family Values, Aladdin, Alien 3, Little Mermaid, Back to the Future 3, Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Cutthroat Island, Demolition Man, Dick Tracy, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, Fantasia, Ghostbusters, Home Alone, Hook, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Judge Dredd, Jungle Book, Jurassic Park, I'm counting Jurassic Park Rampage, Lawnmower Man, Lion King, Lost World, Moonwalker, the Power Rangers movie, Pagemaster, Pinocchio, Pocahontas, Predator 2, Robocop 3, T2 Judgement Day, Terminator 2 Arcade Edition, Terminator, Toy Story, and True Lies. So I make that 38 games. I've not included like Terminator versus Robocop because that wasn't a movie. But I have included like both versions of Terminator 2, both Jurassic Parks. So if I've missed any games that are based on movies in that list, please let me know in the comments, because I'd like to make this as thorough as possible. But I make it 38 games. And to make it a bit more fun than just going out and buying 38 games, because that's going to be bloody dull, I've added a small caveat to it, in that I'm only allowed to buy it if I've watched the game within the year. So, for example, Demolition Man, when I was looking it up, that's over £100 to buy. If I was to find it magically for £5 somewhere, but I've not watched Demolition Man, I have to leave it behind. And that's going to be... It's going to make me watch movies that I would never have watched, like Demolition Man. I watched Lawnmower Man last week, and if you're considering it, my advice to you is don't. It is awful. It's got Pierce Brosnan and Jeff Fahey in it, and it's not a good movie. To kind of highlight how simple the Lawnmower Man is in the start, he goes beyond simple Jack in Tropic Thunder. And you are sitting there just thinking to yourself, don't go full retard. Yeah, don't watch Lawnmower Man. But now that I've done it, I'm allowed to buy it. So yeah, I make it 38 games. If someone can come up with 2 more that I've missed, that would be brilliant, because it would make it around 40. So please let me know what you can find that I can add to this. But from the 38, I have 14 of them already. So I'm just going to quickly run through those 14, and then we'll let the challenge commence. So, you may have noticed there's a few gaps behind me in the Mega Drive collection. That's because I've got them just to my right, so they're more convenient for me to pick up. So, I've not even got them in alphabetical order, have I? No, I haven't. Or is it just those 2? Who knows? Either way, first on the list for me having is Aladdin, which is reflecting incredibly badly on my light. It's a very good 2D platformer. The first few levels are alright to go through. Then, after about 2 or 3 levels, it gets hard as nails. And there's a particular level where you're in the lamp, where you're on platforms where you're starting to slowly sink through the platforms, and it's difficult. And then straight after, you've got an auto run level where you've got to go up and down to avoid rocks. I found that so difficult. I think I've completed this one, but only once. And I don't think I've played it since I completed it a couple of years ago. I might do more gameplay of these games as well. We'll see. Next, we've got Ariel, the Little Mermaid. This is one that I've not read anything particularly good about. I've still not got round to playing it. Hannah did play it for me to try it out for a blog that we were doing a couple of years ago, which went nowhere because I'm awful at keeping up with doing stuff. But it took her under an hour to complete the game, having never played it before and not being familiar with the Mega Drive controller. So take from that what you will as to the quality of the game. Next on the list is Batman Forever. This is my favourite Batman movie. Batman Returns pushes it close, but it's got Two-Face, it's got the Riddler in it, and I've always been a big fan of Jim Carrey. And apparently you could win the holiday of a lifetime with the details inside this game. I watched a video earlier on today where this was described as one of the worst games on the Mega Drive. My memory of it from playing it when I was younger, it's not that bad. It's tough, but it's far from the worst game on the console, surely. We'll see. Next on the list is another one that gets described as being one of the worst games on the console, and that is Fantasia, which it's got a lovely art style. This is again one that's been sitting on my shelf that I've never got round to playing, but I understand the gameplay for it is awful, and Mickey Mouse's jump is that annoying place halfway between precise and overly floaty. So, do you know, I'm looking at this pile, and there's so many that I've not got around to playing that I need to, just so I can experience my collection that bit more. So, Fantasia. Next, we have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which that looks a lot more water damage than I remember it being. That's a bit concerning. It's a platformer. I think you have Indy's whip, and you've got to go through various caves and different things like that. I've played about 10 minutes on it in total, and I've not got through the first level. I struggle so badly with this game, but it's one of my favourite Indiana Jones films. So, actually, it's probably my favourite Indiana Jones film, so I'm glad that one got made into the game. Next on our list, we have The Jungle Book. Now, in the 90s, there were so many good quality platformers made based on Disney titles. The Jungle Book is the one that I've played the least. I had a good hour or so on it the other day, and you're playing as Mowgli. You've got to get past monkeys and snakes and various things like that while jumping through the trees. So it's one that I should play a lot more. So that'll be one to give a try again soon. Then we have one of the best movies ever made, and that is Jurassic Park. One of my absolute favourite movies of all time. Actually, along with the one that's next on this list. There were a couple of Jurassic Park games that came out. I thought that I had Jurassic Park, but it turns out that I had Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. So, obviously, Rampage Edition is the more expensive version, so I don't have it yet. But I watch Jurassic Park multiple times a year. You get to play as either Grant, going through a platformer, or you get to play as the Velociraptor. And I think I completed Rampage Edition as both. I'm not certain on that. We'll have to wait until I get Rampage Edition to see how well I remember it. And then we get on to the best Disney film of all time. That is The Lion King, which, just like with Aladdin, just like with Jungle Book, it's a hard as nails platformer where you go through Simba as a child all the way up to adulthood through different levels inspired by the movie. So you've got things like a level in the elephant graveyard, you've got the Hakuna Matata level, and you've also got the very famous Stampede level where Simba's running towards you and you've got wildebeest behind him, which I understand. The original idea was for them to be bison rather than wildebeest, but they thought that bison was too much foreshadowing. That might just be one of those things that's made up for Instagram, or it might be true, but I still find that's quite a nice little tidbit that may be true, may be false, who knows. But again, I've completed The Lion King once because I just really struggle once you get to the point where you're adult Simba. Because there's another level where there's like a river of lava and you've got to go on really tiny platforms, and I'm just not that good at playing games. I'm good at collecting games, but I'm not that good at playing them. But that's The Lion King. Then we get to one that's not a particularly good game, but it's got a fantastic soundtrack. And that is Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, where you go around as Michael Jackson, kicking and throwing magic at gangsters, and then finding children in a cupboard. I'm saying nothing more. Now we go for a film that I enjoyed when I was younger. I've not seen it for a good over 20 years. Oh, bloody hell. Easily over 20 years, probably closer to 25 years, or even longer. And that is Pagemaster. Part live action, part animated movie starring Macaulay Culkin, where he's trying to get through a series of books to stop bad things happening. I can't even remember the plot of the movie. I've got it on video over there, I think. So he has accomplices. I think there's a fairy book called Fantasia, then there's adventure, and then there's horror, which they add the comic relief and the heart of the story. The game, from what I remember, because I've not played it for a couple of years, pretty duff. But it fits in with this challenge. It gets another one knocked off, so it's all good. Then we've got one that's a very good little platformer, but without too much in the way of peril or much in the way of challenge until you get to about 90% of the way through the game. And that's Pinocchio. Now, Pinocchio has always been like the Disney film that I remember from when I was younger, because I got the video, I think in Christmas 1990-ish, and my sister got a Winnie the Pooh video, and I watched Pinocchio to absolute death. The game, I've not completed it, but up to the point that I've got up to, there's no real challenge to it at all, other than there's it's not even a rhythm level. It's one where you've got to use the various buttons to make Pinocchio move his different arms and legs to go with the different dancers. But just like with all of these Disney ones, so beautifully animated. Because for a lot of them, if I remember rightly, they actually had the Disney approved artists do the drawings and then they trace them for the actual animations. So the animations are completely legit for the Disney games, which is always a bonus in every direction. And then before we get to the pickups for this challenge, yes, I've already made pickups because I've already watched movies. We have Toy Story, which again, it's a Disney-based platformer. And I've completed this game so many times over the years. The only level that gives me any real difficulty is the fight against Buzz in Woody's Nightmare, where you've got to like knock these balls away from around him, then use your pull string to tie him up, and then hit him. It's just overly difficult compared to the rest of the game. But there's other levels where you've got to like, get the toys put away, or you've got to walk around without getting seen. Then there's another level where, well, there's like a top-down driving level where you're RC and you've got to, yeah, loads of variety in the levels and loads of fun to play. If you haven't played that and you've got a Mega Drive, get it for yourself because it's well worth it. It's on the cheaper end of Mega Drive games as well, but it's one of the better, pardon me, sorry, it's one of the better platformers out there. That's not, you'll finish it within an afternoon, but you'll have fun with it. So, the movies that I've watched so far have been things like Lawnmower Man. I've been rewatching things like Jurassic Park and watching Toy Story and The Lion King with the children. But the first pickups that I've got for this challenge, I have got The Lost World Jurassic Park, which I remember thinking it was a really bad movie when I was younger because it wasn't like Jurassic Park at all. But I've grown to appreciate it more as I've got older. And it's one of my favourites of the Jurassic movies there is. And I was very fortunate with this one that in CEX it was priced up as without manual. And when they opened it up, they said, oh no, it's got the manual, it's just not in great condition. So I've paid, I think it was £38 to get it as boxed without a manual, but I've got the manual, so it's all positive. The manual also, on the inside of the cover of the manual, it's got all of the like level codes from someone who's played through it. So I like little things like that appearing in boxes. I don't know why, but it's there. And then, actually, with The Lost World, it's the only movie that I've screamed in the cinema at. I was about 12 when it came out. And you know that bit where they're in the building with the raptors outside? You've got Sarah and I've forgotten Ian's daughter's name, but they're on one side of the building, just trying to dig underneath the wall to try and get under. And Sarah pulls it up. Kelly, that's the daughter's name. She then goes to get under, and then the raptor's head just comes up and goes, yeah! That made me jump so badly I screamed in the cinema. And it's the only time I've screamed in the cinema, but it's still a fun story. The other movie that I've watched, I've not played that game yet, so I don't have any idea how it plays at all. I'll update you at some point. The other movie I've watched, for a lot of these, I've decided the ones that I've not watched, I'll try and get them on VHS, so I can squirrel myself away in the garage and just watch old movies. This movie, I remember the first time I saw it, we took my sister to the other side of the county to go to a slumber party. This again would have been when I was about 12. No, I would have been younger than that because it was before either of my brothers were born. So probably going closer to 9 or 10, I'd say. And we worked out that it would actually be cheaper for us to get a hotel than it would be to drive home and then drive to pick her up again. So we got a hotel, and while my mum and my stepdad were having a meal, I went back up to the room and watched 15, which was very exciting. And I watched Judge Dredd. Again, I've not played it yet, but it's one of those films that even though there's nothing that I would normally like about it, I bloody love that film. And there's probably nothing particularly like standout about it, but that I just love watching Judge Dredd. That's all there is to it, and it's well worth a watch. I've not watched the more recent one that's just called Dredd, but that's another game that's ticked off for this challenge. So we are at a point already where we've got 14 out of 38, and we've got quite a few fairly heavy hitters financially to go. But given that I'm focusing on that as my next thing to boost the collection, and I'm not focusing on bulking out things like the Xbox or the PlayStation, my focus is completely on the Mega Drive, although I have bought a couple of other games recently. But my main focus is to get these games sorted, and then I'll look at what other subsets there are within the Mega Drive. So that's where we are. That's our starting point for this collection, and that's the end of this video. I'll have to remember all of the many things that I've said I'm going to tag within the description, but I will also put in the full list of games as well, so that then if I've missed anything out, you can help me, because I want to sort this out and get it done, because I love the Mega Drive and I love movies. As usual, as everyone says at the end of their videos, if you liked this, then please hit like, subscribe, and all of that kind of thing, because I appreciate it and it makes me feel wanted. So thanks for your time if you got this far, and I'll see you next time.